So welcome to the Manchester is Blue show. It's an absolute honour to talk to you. I was 12 when I first started watching you for City. So what I wanted to do is have a chat to you a bit about your City. You might recognise that shirt.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not the one we had.
Is that the one you had? Is it not the one you had? Are you sure?
We had Brother on ours.
Is that the Brother one?
Yeah.
That's the Brother one. That's the Brother one.
Oh, that one down there.
That one, yeah. That one. Absolutely. I hope that's one you wore.
I have got, yes, definitely. Now, yeah, I can see it now, yeah.
Oh, good man. I'll have a chat to you because your short stint at City was brilliant for me as a fan, watching your main road and a few away games as well. But I want to just delve into your career a little bit because you had 17 years at a really good level of playing football. So I've got here in front of me 17 years, 127 goals and 521 league games and 5 caps for England as well. So you've not done bad as a career there, buddy, have you?
Yeah, but I think I played about 760 games in all because, there's European games, there's FA Cup, League Cup, there's a lot more games that are still important, it's not just the league games.
Well, as a City fan for a very long time, you'll know better than I will that league games aren't always that important. Sometimes it's nice to try and get into Europe, so...
But over your career, you might play, another 10 games a season playing in other competitions. That's 170 games at the end of the day.
Of course.
But anyway, if you'd have said to me as a 14-year-old boy I'd play that many games, I was getting rejected by everybody because I was too small. I would have bit your hands off.
So take me through that because you started. You're a London lad by heart. Was it near Woolwich? You were born and
yeah, not far. A place called Abbey Wood, and Charlton was my nearest team. I wanted to go to Arsenal, but I could have gone to Arsenal, but I couldn't get to training. It's too far because South London, North London don't sound far. It's a bit of a journey still.
Yeah, can imagine.
And so it just made sense to go to Charlton. And actually it was the best thing I ever did. But like I say, at 14, I was touch and go. They could see I had good ability and I'd worked hard at that side of me, but I was just very skinny little 5'7", and people were worried whether I'd ever be big enough. But between 14 and 16, I worked hard in the gym and worked hard at everything. And, and that's why, by the time I got to 16, my ability and then that little bit of strength that came with those years meant I got into Charlton's first team at the age of 16.
It's funny you mentioned that. I always know you as a very tireless player, very tenacious player. You always get the ball, you always run up players from my memory. Would all those rejections at an early age and being told you're too young, would that have sort of instilled that inside you where whenever you got the chance, you need to give 100%? Because you always seem to give 100% when I watch you play.
Yeah. I mean, I think whatever position you play, you have to give it 100%. That's the minimum requirement. And then people do different things on a pitch. When you're my size, I think you're limited in terms of, what type of player you can be. I always wanted to be the show off in the playground anyway. I like to dribble through kids. At my secondary school, I learned to dribble the ball with you've heard this a million times probably from older players, but we literally did have a tennis ball and I had steel toe cap Dr. Martens, 10 holes laced up halfway up my shins. And I used to dribble through the playground with them on. And that gets you a really nice touch with the ball.
And it does,
And when you take them Dr. Martens off, it's like, blimey, you feel so much lighter on your feet and it's so much easier. But, that's just some of the things that happen. But, 100% is a given. I had to give everything I had to compete to make up for how big I was. But, then you have to start to learn to survive in the game. And, I look at modern day football and academies and all the rest of it. But, I wouldn't change nothing because at 15, I was playing against men. I was playing in reserve team football, and I was playing against experience, sometimes disgruntled experience, from another team where, a 34-year-old wasn't in his first team and he'd be trying to kick lumps out of me, a 15-year-old running around like a maniac trying to impress the manager. But, I had to learn how to, that the subtleness of the experience of that 34-year-old, I had to learn you know, because he was clever, because he was experienced, and I had to, you know, so I had to learn. You know, for instance, you know, as my first touch on the ball as it came into me, he would read my first touch, and then I thought, right, I learned. He nicked it off me a couple of times, and then I had to learn, like, okay, he tries to step in front of me and take it from me, so I then controlled the ball away from where he could get me or get the ball, and you know, and then you start to learn. That's all very vital learning experience as a young player, and you know, the best thing I ever done, like I say, being at Charlton, was by the time I was 19, I'd played 100 times, you know, and that, you know, I might have been at Arsenal in the reserves with no games. I was at Charlton and played 100 games in the Championship. Well, Championship, the equivalent of the Championship and Div 1. So, and getting a promotion in as well. Yeah, they were great days, you know. They were great days.
Did you? I mean, I spoke to numerous ex-City players just like yourself, and they always had a special coach that always works well with them or worked hard with them. Do you have any special memories of particular coaches that pushed you to be what you were?
Yeah, I mean, I had three coaches, really. A guy called Roy Passy, who died, you know, recently. He was great to me. He was a bit of a hard ass. Didn't take no nonsense, but he loved a bit of flair and a bit of skill, something a bit different. So when I used to do something different, you know, I wanted to please the coach. You know, he loved a bit of something different. And then there was Ian Salter, another guy who now lives in Denmark. You know, I spoke to him recently and reconnected with him. You know, he had a good impact on my career. Alan Seeley, who played for West Ham in the Cup Winners' Cup, West Ham 1966, I think it was. West Ham won the Cup Winners' Cup, and Alan Seeley scored 2 goals in a final, I think. He was my coach. I got good memories of Alan. So, you know, it was a great time, exciting time growing up, being in and around the football club. But, you know, I didn't go to school for the last 6 months, or when I should have been at school. I'm not promoting that, by the way. I'm not saying that was right. I just couldn't. I didn't want to be at school. I just wanted to play football. I went and got a job, and then the club found out I was working in like Matson's meat factory in East Ham, and other jobs as well. And they said, look, you can come into training, but you're not here, you know. And all of a sudden, I was 15 training with the first team, and absolutely loved it. You know,
brilliant for that time of your life. That must have been amazing. Did you support any particular club as a youngster?
Yeah, well, my dad was a West Ham season ticket holder, but he never took me to football. And my uncle was an Arsenal season ticket holder, and he did take me to football.
Okay, yeah.
So I ended up being a bit of a gooner, and I absolutely fell in love with Highbury as a kid in the mid-70s. You know, and Alan Ball. I had a pair of Alan Ball's boots. He had a white pair of boots with 2 black lines on them, you know, but you got to be of a certain age to remember them. And I had a pair of his boots for Christmas. And one of my early games actually for Charlton was against Blackpool, and Alan Ball was player manager. And, you know, I scored the winning goal that day. And Bally, as we was coming off the pitch, I was looking for my mum and dad up in the stand. And I thought, where's Alan Ball? As I turned around, Bally was just about to put his arm around me, and he went, "Hey, young fella," he said, "you keep working hard, you might be a player one day." You know, and, you know, it was amazing. And he was great to me, Bally, and I loved him for that. And I loved him anyway. Things changed a little bit when I was at Man City and he was the manager, I've got to be honest. But
I can imagine.
We'll get to that. And so, yeah, you know, my Charlton days were amazing days, exciting, amazing, you know, just those two things, excitement, becoming a professional footballer. You know, I started in the first team as an apprentice, and within weeks I was a professional.
That's amazing.
You know, and that was fantastic.
I bet it was. So before you joined City then, you had I think a really illustrious career from where you played, like you said, in many league games as well as cup games as well. What was your perception of City as a club and Main Road as a ground before you joined us? Did you have any pre-set mindset of it?
Well, I played in that game in 1983 where Luton came there and we had to win on the last day of the season. So my memories up to that point were pretty good. You know, I think in that season early on, I'd scored a goal against Joe Corrigan at Kenilworth Road. And we end up playing Man City on the last day of the season. We need a win and they need a draw to stay up. And Radiantic scored with 4 minutes to go, and City were devastated. And as you can imagine, we were jumping up and down cock a hoop. and that would have to go down as one of the great days in my life, right? Not if you're a City fan, but who's to know that? I mean, was I 21, you know, or 20 or 21? I can't remember. No, 21. 21 I was, and like, you know, how was I to know that 11 years later I'd be playing for City in that ground? I'd never really had good games at Man City, and that played on my mind just before I signed. I had never played well there, and I don't know why. But anyway, I went there, and you know, it was dark, it was miserable, it was raining, the pitch was boggy, and I felt under pressure, if I'm honest.
It used to be quite a heavy pitch, I believe, at Main Road.
Yeah, but it wasn't only that. I dropped down into the basically because I hadn't done myself justice at Tottenham. I ended up dropping down into the Championship or the first division or whatever it was then, and having to play a season and a half there because you know, I didn't play that well at Tottenham, and I didn't want to make that move. I made that move purely for one reason and one reason only: money. And people won't relate to this, or maybe they will. In 1992, the interest rate on a mortgage was 16%.
Wow.
And nearly every penny of my wages went in a mortgage payment. And Portsmouth kept wanting to sign me, and I didn't want to go, and I didn't want to go. And then I said, if you buy my house off me, I'll go. And they bought my house off me. And so I went. And that got me out of a ridiculous mortgage situation. And I went there, and I was devastated all through the summer because I didn't want to go there. But I got my head around it through the summer, and I thought, you know what? I've got to go here and give it everything. And you know what? I did. And, you know, Portsmouth fans were amazing. And they gave me I'm still talked about fondly there. They treated me unbelievable. I'd like to think I did okay for them. And then when the chance to go to City came, I wanted to go. I felt I should never have been in the Championship. This was a swan song situation in the top flight for me, going to Man City. But I felt pressure going there because I knew that people perceived me as too old, and I knew people thought he's over his best days. He'd already gone down a division, because that's how people think. So, you know, I had to go there and try and do my best and just hope people would like what they saw. And again, it was another 18 months of probably the best 18 months of my life. It was incredible. It was incredible. Some of the games, you know, it was just incredible. And I just loved every minute of it. Apart from at the end, where it went a little bit pear-shaped under Alan Ball. You know, bless him. I just, you know, he was such a great player. I couldn't understand some of the, you know, things he did as a manager. And, you know, I had an opportunity to go back to Pompey. I was 32. And I could see that the team was going to be in trouble. And, you know, I was also a bit gutted at Brian Horton leaving. He signed me. I think he'd done a good job. But people always think that someone else can do better. Bally came in, done his speech on day one, and it was amazing, his speech. And I got out there. But I'm afraid, a lot of City fans, I've said this a lot, Alan Ball bought Georgie Concladze, who in isolation was an amazing, silky smooth, gorgeous-looking footballer. But Georgie wasn't a centre forward. Georgie wasn't a midfielder. Georgie didn't edit. Georgie didn't chase it. Georgie didn't tackle it. Georgie looked fantastic on the ball, and he scored 4 goals a season. And normally they were very good goals. But he changed our whole team around, Alan, to accommodate Georgie. And I played the first 3 games with Georgie, and for the first time in my life, I didn't know where to run on a football pitch at the age of nearly 33. And I got the chance to go back to Portsmouth and get a bit of financial security, because they were prepared to give me another 3 years. And that was the reason I went. And, you know, I was an experienced player at that point, and I could see that Man City were going to struggle with the way he was trying to play. And, you know, they went through, I think, was it 2 back-to-back relegations or 2 relegations in 3 seasons anyway, doing what they did. And, you know, that was sad to see, because it was, you know, but I remember my 18 months there with so much affection, and I absolutely loved it. We had some great games. Everton 4-1, me and Uwe got 2 apiece. Tottenham, we won 5-3, I think it was. I got
5-2, 5-2.
Yeah, and it was an amazing game. There was lots of great days. Peter Beagrie, Nicky Summerby on the wings, the young Flitty and Lomi in the middle of the park, Steve McMahon, Curly at the back, Mickey Phelan, Andy Hill.
Yeah.
Terry Phelan. Sorry, I said Mickey Phelan there. Terry Phelan, was again, and it was just great. I loved it.
We spoke to Terry a few weeks ago. Actually, he's got such good memories. It's funny, isn't it? Other people of a similar era have got similar mindset of that period. I was gutted when Brian Horton left. I thought he was building a real class team around it. Like you said, we had up front. We had you, Quinny, Rosler. We had Beagrie, Summerby, Lomas, Flitcroft. And that was just brilliant, bombing down the ball off the wings. And you got a fair amount of goals, and you got in 53 games, 16 goals, which for your position, I think you did fantastically well. And like I said, that the tenacity would really, every time I've told people that I was coming on to chat to you today, nothing but positive about you, which is fantastic for me. And it must be great for you to hear as well from fans that your club be played for.
Yeah, I mean, it's just confirmation that people think I did okay for their club. And, that really makes me feel good. As this old bloke sat in his chair now, looking back at the past, been finished nearly 25 years. It's lovely. I've got lovely memories, successful. I remember the first game I think it was against Wimbledon on a muddy pitch. And I think we drew, and it was a horrible game. And then the next game was another bore fest against Sheffield United. And I think we lost 1-0. And blimey, the pressure was cranking. The fans didn't know Uwe. So they didn't know anything about Uwe at that point. They knew me, and they were already on a downer about me because they thought I was over the hill. And then we went to over on the beach to Oldham when it was a beach, and Peter Beagrie signed. And suddenly, I think we only had another draw, but suddenly you could see a little bit of things. Me and Uwe starting to work. Nicky Summerby, the relationships on the pitch were starting to be formed. Beags making a difference, getting crosses in, giving us a little bit of something different. And then we went to Ipswich in the fourth game, and I got my first goal, but it was Beags down the left side, jinked inside, hit a shot, the keeper knocked it onto the post, and I knocked the rebound in. And then I made Uwe's goal. Now we've both got our first goals. And then we went bang, bang, bang and scored a few goals each. And suddenly we got 3 or 4 results on the spin, and we were out the relegation zone. And it was like, wow, suddenly we were accepted by the fans, or I felt I'd been accepted by the fans. Uwe was already accepted because he was new. No one had any preconceived ideas about Uwe, whereas they did with me. I was guilty of playing for Liverpool, things like that. And so, it was just a little bit more to convince the fans, I think. But in the end, I've never had such great feedback and such a warm feeling inside as the acceptance of the fans towards me for the job that me and Uwe and the partnership we created. And I've been up to a couple of dudes and listening to Uwe speak, and he speaks fondly of our relationship and as our partnership as the most successful in his career. That means loads to me as well.
It's funny you say that, because you could tell that on the pitch. And this is a question I really wanted to ask you. It seemed on the pitch as if you were good mates off the pitch as well. You seem to have that relationship together. Is that something you did have? Were you both get on well with each other, or can you have that relationship?
Yeah, I've still got a good relationship with Uwe. We speak like old friends when we speak, and at the time, you got to remember, I was older. The thing that I made sure I never did, I never got too involved in that many nights out. I needed to stay out the way. I was enjoying it so much, I didn't want anything to get in the way of it. Uwe's a bit younger than me. He was a single guy at the time. He might have been knocking around with some of the other lads a little bit more. I'm not saying doing anything wrong, but just a little bit more socialising, maybe.
Yeah.
I wanted so badly to do well that I just, I was sensible. I was sensible for my age. I did what I needed to do.
Did you play with Brian Horton? Did you know him before he signed you?
Yeah. He was my captain at Luton. So I
thought I read something somewhere. So when you first knew the City wanted you, did Brian just give you a bell and say, "Listen, Paul, I want to have a chat to you about bringing you in"? How did that work out?
Yeah. Well, I don't suppose it matters now. Yeah, he tapped me up. He phoned me up. He said, "Look, I just scored 2 against Man United for Portsmouth in the League Cup.
That's always a win, yeah.
and he was at Old Trafford, and he tried to speak to Jim Smith after the game, and Jim said that he wouldn't like let me go and all the rest of it. And you know, but Portsmouth, bless them, were always a bit of a selling club, and you know, to get double their money on a 32-year-old is not bad business. I've got to be honest. And that's what happened in the end. But between him phoning me up and saying to me, "I want you to come," it felt like an eternity, because once he's told me he wants you, it was like about 3 weeks. And it was like every day I was going in and staring at Jim Smith thinking, is he going to come and tug me in a minute and go, "You're going to Man City"? And, you know, it was a little bit messy. You know, it always is when you leave, and finances and stuff. So it got a bit messy, but, you know, it happened. You know, and then once you've made that decision, then you've got the logistics of moving house and, you know, new wife and baby, well, newish wife and baby, and moving them up the other end of the country and that sort of thing. But, you know, it was great. I loved it. I just loved it.
Brilliant. And there's 2 games I want to talk to you about. I know there's quite a few to talk about, but there's 2 particular ones that stand out to me. It's beating Blackburn, and the one against Spurs as well. Which one do you want to talk about first? Which one has the best memories for you?
I think, you know, listen, the Tottenham game more so. I should have had a hat trick. I was kicking myself. I never had a hat trick. I missed the easiest chance. I still beat myself up about that miss.
Is that the one Quinny scored?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got the easiest header in the world, and I very tentatively head it at Ian Walker, and Quinny knocks the rebound in. But anyway, let's not be greedy. It was a great win. I got 2 goals. I think I made Flitty's goal as well, and it was just great to beat Tottenham, beat my old team. You know, where I didn't do very well, if I'm honest. So it was nice to get a little bit of respect back, I suppose. And you know, loved it. So without a doubt, the Tottenham game. But it's always great, the other game, the Blackburn one, because I think they won the title that season.
Yeah, they did.
And the reason it was special as well was because Brian Alton was under really lot of pressure. And after we won the game, Franny Lee came in the dressing room, and I'm not going to say he almost looked disappointed, but I think he thought that was going to be the game he was going to sack Brian Alton.
Oh, okay.
And we've gone and beat top of the league. And it was a real rainy, windy night, you know, difficult game. And and it was great. And it's always nice to score the winning goal in any game, but against what was to be the eventual champions of the league that year.
Do you remember the first goal? Do you remember Dibble kicking it? It was Coaten. It was Tony Coaten kicking it to Alan Shearer.
Yeah, and he knocked it straight back in. Didn't he?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. No, but the conditions were difficult. I'm not making any. If he listens to this, TC, because he was a great goalkeeper, but yeah, that weren't his finest moment, I suppose.
He brought, actually, talking to TC, you might recognise this as well. It was one of my one of the goalkeeper tops I've got. I love Tony. I was gutted when he went to United. Never mind. Anyway,
well, City could have had him as goalkeeping coach. Why didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
What was your sorry to talk? You played with some great City players. For me, as I really enjoyed football. I obviously do now for obvious reasons, but you know, when I was growing up and football was everything to me at this age. Who are your favourite players to play alongside? Because you've got the likes of Curl, Lomas, Flitcroft, obviously Rosler, Quinn. You know, who at that team did you really enjoy playing with the most?
Well, I mean, me and Uwe, we had this special connection because of what we've already spoke about. And then what happened was Quinny had come back from a long-term injury. I mean, he played that day, against Tottenham.
Yeah.
And we did okay together as well. But then Brian had the problem of keeping me, Quinny, and Uwe in the same team, and he sacrificed on a couple of games Peter Beagrie, and Beegs weren't happy, and Beegs had done great. So Quinny coming back caused a few difficulties for the manager. But I played out on the left hand side a few times, or me and Uwe played, or me and Quinny played, and it was fine, But I had a special relationship with Uwe because we both joined at the same time. We both helped each other settle in. We both got our first goals in the first game, and we forged a partnership that was successful. And so that relationship would always sort of be one of my go-to relationships in terms of a football one. But Quinny was gave us a different dimension, and he was great to play with as well.
There's a lot to be said about City having a tall striker like Quinn. Nowadays, we seem very one-dimensional at the moment. You got 12 goals in your first season, I think, looking at this here, and Rosler got 15, and Quinn got 8, Flitcroft got 5, and Maurizio Gaudino, crikey, that's a blast from the past. Yeah. He got 3, so blimey, we had some cracking players there, didn't we, really?
I played against Maurizio in Harry's Heroes.
Did you really?
Season. He was playing for the Germans, yeah. So, but yeah, no, it was, yeah, no, I think I had about 9 of them by Christmas, and then, I was right up there in the top. But I never missed a game, and I've got to be honest with you, the back end of the season, when you look at now, our players get rested and put in, and managers are moaning about the workload. Blimey, you try playing on City's pitch 42 games, because that's what it was then. Yeah, I think it was anyway, and playing all them games. And it was hard work, and there were times where I could have done with a breather, especially when you're 32, 33, and but I never had I think out of a potential, the potential games I could have played in, I think I missed 2 games out of the whole lot. So yeah, towards the back part of the season, I wasn't at my sharpest. I was plodding a little bit in some of the games. I just needed a rest, but didn't get a rest.
I think though, with the amount of games you play and the 100% that you give every game, you're always going to tire out, aren't you, towards the end of the season as well, I can imagine.
Yeah, so strategically, just maybe every now and again. I probably wouldn't have liked it if Brian Alton said to me, I'm going to give you a rest.
I'd
have probably moaned about that. But looking in hindsight, I could have done with that.
I just had a flashback. When you signed for us, 94, was the new Kipax up then?
It was being built.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they just knocked it over. Apparently, I scored the last goal in front of the Kipax against Chelsea. Apparently. Is
that right? That's a stat.
I saw that on Twitter somewhere. So, yeah, I had no idea. But, yeah. Apparently that was the case. So the one behind the goal was going up as well, and the Kipax was being demolished. So over my period there, it was a building site.
Oh, listen, Paul, honestly, the 12, 13-year-old me wants to thank you so much for having this time and talking to me. You and all the players I mentioned previously, it was such a breath of fresh air as a City fan at that period, as a City fan with lots of United friends. You brought a lot of happiness to me in my football going days at Main Road. So listen, for a massive City fan, thank you very much for everything you did for us. And thanks for coming on and spending the time with us as well, Paul. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, mate. My pleasure.
You're an absolute superstar. Have a great day, Paul. See you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, pal. Bye-bye.
Bye.
How good was that, Blues? Lovely to talk to Paul and bring back some old memories there, especially that Spurs game and the Blackburn game. I remember watching them too. So it's fantastic to hear him actually talking about it with so much passion, and he obviously enjoyed his time at City, didn't he, which is brilliant. If you like what we do, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You get all the notifications coming up when we go live or when we do other shows. Also, please feel free to go onto our Patreon page, patreon.com/Manchester is Blue, and see about options there to become elite fans of the show, essentially. From as little as £3.50 a month, you can help us run the show and keep pushing out this content for you. But yeah, no, that's it, Blues. I really enjoyed that. See you next time.